Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Happy Friday. Let's make sure I am not muted. I check every time now. Let me see. I am not muted. Oh my God, Shell, are you proud of me? Welcome to J is for Justice. It is Casual Friday. I washed my hair today, guys, and look at the patch of gray. You guys told me to grow it out, so I am. But let me fix that because it's going to bug me. Happy Friday. Thanks to all the mods that are here. We've got Shell, Jammers, Angie B. And, you know, washing this mop. Today was Friday dreadlock clean day, and it's a pain in the ass. Just saying. But it's done, and they are wet, and they are heavy, and ugh. So anyways, I'm here. Welcome to my channel. If you have not liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you would like to see Moa. So welcome to all the loungers. This is a reminder to put it on live chat. I have not put it on live chat, but now I did. John Gone, Diana HB, Jess, Allison BD, Fraggy, and Heathen. I've got Heathen's fall scent. It smells like apples. I can't remember which one it is, but it smells amazing. Thank you. And it's 106 in South Texas. It's about that here too. It's hot as Hades. Welcome, Heathen, and Lisa, and the wonderful Suzanne and Kendi. If I miss anyone, Heather, the Scorpio, and Punani. So you guys, yeah, it's too early for fall scents, says Shell. But it's not, though. It's not. It's September 1st. So happy September. Black hairspray. I'm going to have to get something, guys, because that stresses me right the fuck out. Thank you, Angel. It's a good idea. Hello, Einstein and Diana. Diana, did you see you got a shout out? I showed the Robo Cars just for you. Welcome, everybody who is new here. I see some new names. My mom used to say that too, Heather. Hot as Hades. That's where I got it from. Because if I said hell, she'd get mad at me. So we don't want to make our mamas mad. Because we know our mamas are always listening no matter where they are, right? Because I know I will be. Hello, Shamrock. All right, so today we're going to take a look at the FBI analyst beyond the Daybell case is now involved in the Kohberger case. His name is Benjamin Dean. And we never heard his name until Howard Blum dropped his name for us. So Howard Blum dropped his name. He has not emerged in this case as of yet, but he's going to. Hot as balls. My mom would flip if I said that. But he's going to. He's the one that has collected all of Kohberger's cell data and analyzed it, and he's the one that has put it in the maps and all that good stuff. So we're going to listen to his testimony in Chad Daybell's prelim, because when he did testify in Lori Vallo's trial, but it was audio only. And I really just didn't feel like sitting here and playing audio from the Daybell trial. It was hard enough to listen to the first time around. So I'm like, you know what? We'll play Chad's because we have video with it. And this will give us an idea of what this guy does, what he may have done for Kohberger's case, and maybe what we can expect to see when this case finally goes to trial. So I think that'll be interesting. We have some exciting stuff coming up that I wanted to share with you guys. We are going to be putting the pieces together of November 12th. We're going to be putting the pieces together of November 12th as far as Ethan and Xana are concerned and where they went on the 12th. Because we know there was the football game. We know there was the Betty's ball. We know all this stuff. But we're going to break it down and we're going to kind of try to pinpoint times. And I don't know if we're going to be able to, but it just seems to me like the football game was at 4. What time do we think the Betty's ball was? That's kind of, it's going to be like a talk through kind of live, but we have that. And then also we have this awesome judge and he YouTubes every one of his hearings, and most of them are misdemeanor hearings and stuff, but they're quite humorous. So I watched a couple of them and I've saved them, and we are going to do on Tuesday. These 2 hearings that I watched are back in court on Tuesday live. So we are going to watch Judge Middleton on Tuesday. I'm not sure what time yet. I know one of them is at 1 p.m., but I'll get it up and we're going to watch. I'll show you guys the 2 hearings I watched, and then we'll watch Judge Middleton. These guys come back to court. One of them is a sovereign citizen who says, I object to everything. Like, he's a pain in the ass. So it'll be fucking funny. So we're going to watch Judge Middleton next Tuesday on the 5th, the day after Labor Day. September 5th. And then the other one is this jackass that is there for domestic violence. And this is like going to be the epitome of a narcissist. When you see this guy, he's like, oh yeah, my girlfriend, like she wouldn't have anything if it wasn't for me. And he's a gaslighter, and the judge calls him out. He's great. He's great. You guys are going to love Judge Middleton. And if you guys like it, we might make it a part of our regular programming to go over Judge Middleton or any other crazy hearings that you guys find. You can send to us and I can just play them and we can react. So I think that'll be fun. So be looking for that on Tuesday. We're going into the Labor Day weekend. Back home in Romeo, Michigan, where I'm from, we have Peach Festival weekend. So I'm really missing the Peach Fest this weekend. I wish I could be there. We used to go to the beer tent. They have a big, huge parade. My dad used to make this drink called Peach Fuzz. Peach Fuzz is fresh peaches, vodka, frozen lemonade, and ice in a blender. So Shell watches Middleton a lot. He's up in Michigan, so he's on the west side of Michigan. So if you guys want to try out some Peach Fuzz, do it in memory of my dad. We used to have a big party on Labor Day weekend. It was a lot of fun. So we have Summer and Bella down in Doggy Cam showing off today. Thank you, Opa. I appreciate that. Hi, Cammie. It's good to see you. And Allie, welcome to chat. And Truth Exposed. Kendi, stop with that. She said moist, 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 moist.
Everybody does that. It's okay.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's a good drink. It's a nice, cool drink. So, again, fresh peaches with the skin on, ice, frozen lemonade in the can, vodka to your liking, and turn the damn blender on, and you are good to go. So, let me know if you guys try it out. I don't really have a measurement thing. Just wing it. Just wing it. Well, happy Labor Day to you guys. And I miss my Peach Fest. Indigo, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. All right. So, the judge does tell Mr. Dean to point that microphone down at his chin.
Pull it down below your chin and aim it at your chin.
But let's get started. So, again, this is Benjamin Dean from the FBI Cellular Analysis Team. Thank you, Bella.
Is it your next witness or Mr. Woods?
It is my next witness, Your Honor.
And who is that going to be?
Judge Benjamin Dean.
Benjamin D?
Yep, for today's purposes, title of Mr. Dean.
I love peaches, too.
Mr. Dean or D?
This judge.
D as in dog, Dean.
Mr. Bean or Dean? Never a dull moment in the courtroom.
Benjamin D.
Yep, for today's purposes, title of Mr. Dean.
Mr. Dean or D?
D as in dog, Dean.
Okay, thank you.
Potato is not here. It's not Mr. Bean. It's Mr. Dean. John gone. I have to stop. John gone has been sober 22 years. I just want to say congratulations, John gone girl. That's amazing. Good for you. Good for you. And yeah, virgin ones are amazing. That's what my dad used to make for all us kids. So virgin ones, cheers. I'm not a big drinker either, so.
Mr. Dean, if you'll please stand here in front of the witness thing, up a little closer, raise your right arm, face the clerk.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you just gave in the council committee will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes. Mr. Dean, you can have a seat here at the witness chair. Once you've been seated there, you may remove your mask. Please pull that microphone and aim it at your chin. And speak directly into that microphone as
A
well.
hard time hearing you. Do you mind pulling your
Mr.
microphone
Randall,
down?
you may inquire when you're ready.
Thank you, Judge. Can you please state your name and spell your full name for the record?
Benjamin Dean. Last name is Dean.
Where are you employed?
Federal Bureau of Investigation
And how long have you worked for the FBI?
for approximately 6 years.
What position do you currently hold with the FBI?
I'm an intelligence analyst.
Can you briefly describe your educational and professional background?
Educational and professional
So
background.
when I joined the Bureau, I had a bachelor's degree in foreign area studies, and my first position was with the language services section at the FBI headquarters. And my job there was to review electronic communications, lawfully obtained electronic communications of FBI subjects throughout the field, across the country. After that position, I became an intelligence analyst. I attended the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia, where I received training in topics related to my job. And
I received training in topics related to my job. But do you really, really think that this guy here is in Quantico, that he's going to frame Bryan Kohberger? I mean, why? Why do people think this?
Bryan Kohberger.
Danielle, welcome to the fam. And Allison, or just an Okie, thank you for donating that membership. Let's get a membership train going, guys. Let's whoop whoop on the fucking crazy train membership for Benjamin Dean.
And I continue to do trainings on the web, web-based trainings at work, and also in-person trainings.
What office are you currently assigned to?
I'm currently assigned to the Salt Lake City Division.
Salt Lake City.
Mr. Dean, what are your day-to-day responsibilities?
So I'm an analyst. As an analyst in the field, I'm embedded on an investigative squad. So I support active cases, but my main job is to analyze information and make assessments about specific threats. So some of my duties day to day include reviewing information that's collected by special agents, looking through that information for trends and patterns, making and then writing reports and giving briefings with my findings and recommendations.
Do you have any specific training or experience or specific training related to reviewing electronic devices?
I do.
Can you explain or
Sir, what did you find on
training or
Bryan
experience? Can you
Kohberger's
explain
phone?
that to the court, please?
Yes. So as I mentioned before, my position in language services gave me the opportunity to gain daily experience reviewing, interpreting,
Hellcat.
and reporting on
I
electronic
see.
communications
Oh,
for
shit.
various subjects who were part of investigations,
Thank
who were,
you,
in
Hellcat.
investigation for a variety of threats and violations. After that position, of course, I went to the FBI Academy, and I was trained. One of the topics and subject matter that they trained us on was digital evidence collection and exploitation, and also the use of software for telephone analysis. So I continue to keep my skills and knowledge current in those areas.
Welcome,
Are you
new
involved in the
members.
investigation into Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow Daybell?
Yes.
When did your involvement in that investigation begin?
It began in late March of this year, 2020.
What was your first assignment in that?
Welcome,
in your
guys.
involvement, or your first assignment with that assignment? I'm sorry, your assignment that you were initially given in March of this year.
My first assignment for this investigation was to review tips that were submitted to the FBI's Office of Public Affairs website. Those tips were submitted pursuant to a press release that was issued on the 5th of March this year, 2020, by the FBI and the Rexburg Police Department regarding the disappearance of Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow, who were missing at the time. And the press release noted that both children had been seen at Yellowstone National Park on the 8th of September, 2019. And
Thank you.
It requested
Indigo.
that anyone who was present at the park that day, who visited the park that day, who had photos or videos, to send them in case they might be of use to the investigation.
Have you received other assignments in your involvement in this investigation?
Yes.
And what were they?
I was assigned to assist with the review of devices, electronic storage devices seized from the property of Chad Daybell on the 3rd of January this year. My first two devices that I reviewed were a hard drive and a thumb drive.
When did you complete
Okay, so let's.
your review of those initial devices?
All right, so let's stop there because we know, what do we have in Kohberger's case? We have a motherboard. You guys are crazy with the memberships. Thank you so much, Melissa. And I'm gonna recognize every new member before this stream ends. But what did we have in Kohberger's case? We had the motherboard. We have a couple computers. We've got phones. We've got a Fire Stick. We've got 51 terabytes of data totally. Oh, Hellcat, that's amazing. Since DWAP days. Welcome. And thank you for donating.
I completed those devices in late May of this year.
Were you asked to review data from any other devices after you had completed those initial reports that you had generated?
Yes, I was.
What was the additional devices that you were asked to review?
I was asked to review 2 Blu-ray discs containing data that was pulled from devices seized from Chad Daybell's property on the same date, January 3rd, 2020.
And were these discs labeled?
They were labeled with unique FBI specimen numbers. The first disc
Specimen.
was labeled IWR 091201, and the second disc was labeled IWR 091202. And both discs also had the words "working copy" written on them.
Which disc did you begin reviewing first?
I first began reviewing IWR 091201.
And when did you begin your review of the disc labeled IWR 091201?
I began the review on the 26th of May, 2020.
What was the process you used to begin that review?
Here's his process.
I used a Blu-ray reader to open up the disc, the contents of the disc on my FBI-issued laptop computer. I saw that the main file on the disc was labeled IWR 091201.
Craig, let me know how you like
I
it.
began looking through the contents of that file and located a subfolder titled, I located a subfolder that had several items in it. One of the items was an application file titled cellbrightreader.exe. And the
Cellbrite.
other one was a UFDR file with the name IWR 091201 report.ufdr.
Chad's chin.
I double clicked the application file to launch
He looks
Cellbrite
mad.
Reader, and from there I opened up the UFDR file
He's mad.
to view.
Chad's mad because because this guy read all the sext messages between him and Lori. He's pathetic pieces of shit.
The contents of that.
Mr. Dean, I'm going to go back for 1 second. You stated that as you opened it, the disk was named, the file disk was named, or had a specimen number. That number specifically matched the number on the outside of the disk?
Yes, it did.
Had it not, what would you have done?
I would have contacted.
He does,
I would have
Heather.
contacted the
He's so
person
bad.
at the regional RCFL, Regional Computer Forensics Lab down in Salt Lake City to find out why there was a discrepancy.
But no discrepancy existed with this disk.
No.
How does data appear in Cellbrite Reader?
Cellbrite Reader organizes the content of a device, meaning all of the data items that are found on the device, into categories based on an item's file type. The category names are in the Cellbrite window are on the left in a tree report, and they're arranged in alphabetical order. And when you double click one of the category names, a new data tab opens up, and you can see all of the items that fit within that belong to that category. So, for example, autofill, calendar items, call log items, contacts, SMS messages, and so forth.
What file types do you typically look at to determine the user of a given device?
I typically look to see if there's a user device, a device user listed. I also look, if it's a phone, I look to see what the phone number is that's associated with the device. I look at the content of the communications stored on the device, so text messages, multimedia messages, emails, and then I also look at the images.
Well, this is from 2020.
Mr. Dean, did you look at those file types for
Thanks, Diana.
this device, the device we're speaking of, IWR 091201?
Yes, I did.
When reviewing those items, did it become apparent what type of device it was?
Yes, it did.
What type of device was it apparent to you to be?
It was a cell phone.
Yes,
Did it become
Texas
apparent
Ranger.
after
Yes.
reviewing those file types who the user of the device was?
Yes, it did.
Okay, hold up. I'm going to catch everybody up. If you're just joining, this is Benjamin Dean. He is part of the FBI Salt Lake City cellular analysis team. He analyzed all of Chad Daybell's data. So he's also the one that analyzed Bryan Kohberger's data as well. So this would be the same guy that's going to testify in the Kohberger trial. And he went over his education in the beginning of the video. I'll chapter it when it's over.
And who was that?
It was apparent to me that Tammy Daybell was the user of the cell phone.
Why so?
There's several reasons that it became apparent to me. First off, the device user was listed as Tammy. Second, the phone number listed for the device matched the phone number that we had in other documents obtained in this investigation, which showed Tammy Daybell was associated with that phone number. There were incoming messages on the device addressing Tammy by name. There were outgoing communications from the device user, again, text messages and emails and multimedia messages, with the device user introducing herself as Tammy or signing off, for example, on an email as Tammy. There were also communications, messages with group messages, for example, and also call items and also direct messages with members of the Daybell family. And the content of those messages suggested a close family relationship between the device user and the members of the family. By the way, all all the members or all the members in those group messages that I'm referring to as the Daybell family members were all also had contact names stored in the device. In addition, there were device notifications found on the device for new posts by the Daybell family, by names matching the Daybell family members onto a Facebook group titled Daybells and Murs.
Daybells and Murs.
There were photos that showed Tammy Daybell.
This is a
and,
prelim, guys.
Other members of her family, including Chad Daybell and so there were photos by herself and also in combination with her family members. And lastly, I noticed that all of the outgoing communications on that device, emails, text messages, phone calls, they all ceased on the evening of October 18th, 2019, which, based on my knowledge of the case, was the day before, or the evening before, first responders found Tammy Daybell deceased in her residence.
So after that review, very clear that you believe that the device belonged to Tammy Daybell.
Yes.
I'm going to draw your attention to September 9th, 2019. Did Tammy's phone receive any text messages that day?
Yes, it did.
Were there any messages sent to Tammy's phone that day that caught your attention?
Yes, there was.
What was the phone number from which those messages were sent?
It was 208-690-9374.
Was there a contact name stored on the phone for that number?
There was.
What was the contact name associated with that number?
Chad.
Throughout your review
Chad.
of this device, had you reviewed other messages sent by the contact?
Recipes
the
posted
number
in the
associated with
community.
the contact saved as Chad.
Yes, I had.
Based on your review of those other messages sent by this number, who do you believe that number belonged to?
It was clear to me that number belonged to Tammy Daybell's husband, Chad Guy Daybell.
Why?
Again, there's several reasons for that. First off, the phone number, the ending in 9374, it also matched with the phone number that I was aware of being on documents, other documents collected or obtained in this investigation, and showing Chad Daybell as showing that number was one of the phone numbers used by Chad Daybell. In addition, the contact name in the phone that we're talking about, named Chad, was also part of group messages with members of the Daybell family. The content of the messages between Tammy, the device user, and the contact Chad with this 9374 number suggested that Tammy and this other user were living in the same house. And
I'm going to stop you right there for a
Sure.
second. The content of these messages over a period of days, weeks, months, approximately?
I would say months. If I recall, the earlier text messages stored on the device, most of them began in August.
Hey, Dara. Well, happy
of
Friday.
2019.
Anything in the messages that would
Wait for cross.
suggest that the individuals between these two devices were married?
Yes.
Specifically,
Chad Dad.
regarding to affection.
He's a
Yes,
Chad.
there were incoming messages on the device. So from the 9374 number to the phone with statements or phrases of affection such as "I love you," "eager to kiss you," "can't sleep without you."
Oh, God.
I'm going to draw your attention back to the messages received on Tammy's phone on September 9th. I'm going to show the defense and hand you what has been marked as states Exhibit 31 for.
He looks like he's just so annoyed he has to even be there. God, it infuriates me. Say please, I don't know. Maybe you've never just looked close enough. Shell? What is she doing? Waiting for him to hand her something? Oh, I know. Tara, it's so gross. Oh, his chin. It's so nasty. I can't.
I heard Eduardo with like a G.
Exhibit 31 is being handed to the witness.
I didn't want to see you again for the rest of my whole life.
That's how I.
And I didn't want to see anybody else either.
That's how I feel about Chad's chin.
Dean.
You got that, white jammer.
What is that?
This is a copy of the messages sent between Chad and Tammy Daybell on September 9th, 2019.
How do you know this?
I know this because I reviewed these exact same messages in this exact same message conversation, while I was doing the review of the device.
Mr. Dean, is it a true and accurate representation of the messages you reviewed between those two numbers that were sent
Truth exposed.
on September 9th, 2019, starting at 11:53:27?
Yes, it is.
Judge, I would move to admit.
Exhibit 31 will be admitted. Is now a good time to take a recess, Mr. Rammel? How long do you expect the continued questioning of this witness to take?
Judge, 2-3 minutes left if you want to push through.
Let's do that, and then we'll take a recess before we engage in cross-examination if that's going to take place. You may proceed, Mr. Rammel.
Hey, bro, I ain't finished. I
Mr.
ain't
Dean,
finished my
will you
sentence.
please read, look at Exhibit 31 that has been admitted. Will you please read aloud the messages in this exhibit?
Oh, no.
Including timestamps.
All right, we're not going to read the messages. Let's see what this is.
Earlier in my testimony, I mentioned how my first assignment in this case was reviewing the tips that came in pursuant to the press release.
Oh, he reviewed tips, guys. Tips, nothing but the tip.
Depositing or cashing of checks. And
Okay, let's go back just a tad.
good for you. 9/9/2019, 2:48:20 p.m. From Chad. I'm back home now.
You testified, Mr. Dean, that these messages initially caught your attention.
Yes, they did.
Why?
Bree
The first
McGee.
message in particular caught my attention because it was
would say
longer
no.
and more detailed than any of the other messages between Chad and Tammy that were showed on the device. Most of the messages between Chad and Tammy were relatively short, and they dealt with matters around the house. For example, whether to pick up food for an animal, the depositing or cashing of checks, and the comings and goings of one or the other, when they would get home, when they would be leaving. It appeared to me to be the first and only message sent from Chad to Tammy in which Chad was describing and informing
Hopefully,
Tammy of
TC,
his,
it makes
his
sense
day's
when we see it
events
all, though.
in such a lengthy and detailed manner. The other thing that caught my attention was the date. If you recall earlier in my testimony, I mentioned how my first assignment in this case was reviewing the tips that
Hey,
came in
Island, not
pursuant
much.
to the press release that was asking for visitors who had been to Yellowstone National Park on the 8th of September 2019 to send in photos and videos that may help in the investigation. And that was because Tylee and JJ had been seen at Yellowstone that day. After reviewing hundreds of those photographs and videos, in consulting with the team members on the FBI side who were also involved in this case about the timeline, consulting them about the timeline, I was well aware that that date, the 8th of September 2019, was the last day that Tylee Ryan was seen alive. So upon reading this text message in which Chad appears to claim to have started a fire, shot and killed a large animal, and buried it on his property. I recognize that it was sent the day after Tyler Ryan was last seen alive, and I became concerned.
So I wonder if Bryan Kohberger had any like normal
What did he do
activity on his
after
phone.
You reviewed.
You know,
those
like,
messages?
did Bryan Kohberger, I wonder, regularly text message his parents or, someone else? Because these guys had regular communications. Did he?
I relayed the information to the case agents.
Judge, that's all I have for this one.
Thank you. We'll take a brief recess.
Recess, and
Why
then
don't we go back on the record at 10 minutes.
they got to let Chad's chin have some air.
Daybell. The state had just finished its direct examination of Mr. Dean, and we took a brief recess. in the
Mr. Pryor.
afternoon. Mr. Pryor, do you wish to cross-examine this witness?
If I may, Your Honor.
You may.
This ought to be interesting. John Pryor.
Mr. Dean, can you give me the range of when the messages started from what you gathered from the phone and when, and obviously you've already provided us with the end date of October 18th, 2019. What was the start date of those messages that you started to review, sir?
Are you referring to the text messages, SMS only?
Well, at this point, we're going to get through all of the varieties.
Mr. Pryor, could you hold that microphone close to your chin and aim it at your chin?
Sure. So that information, I think, is in the report that I generated after the review of this. If I could be definitely accurate if I were able to consult that. Otherwise, I would just be giving estimations.
Pull it down below your chin and aim it at your chin.
There's,
Chad's chin has its own chair in court.
Mr. Pryor, do you want that handed to the witness?
I do, Judge.
All right.
Hand the witness the report to refresh his recollection. And then
The
the judge
report,
wants to give him instructions on that.
okay, the report will be
Probably
handed to the
texted Dad.
witness. Witness, if you want to review your report and then let us know when you're ready, we'll have you turn the report upside or over on
Vulgar.
its back so that you can't see it, and then we'll have you testify to what you know. Take your time.
He's reviewing his records now. Hey, little Kaza T.
I heard Eduardo.
Everybody does that. It's okay.
He won by a chin. Oh my gosh. You guys, I love Casual Friday.
Sorry.
Truth exposed. Chad could have taught Bryan how to get laid, and there wouldn't have been 4 co-eds killed. When Chad Daybell gets laid and Bryan Kohberger can't. Whoa. Whoa.
What?
There's something wrong there.
Given the fallout, given the fallout, given the fallout.
His chin's weighing him forward. He's like, I can't hold my head up anymore. My chin's too heavy. He's being very thorough, that Effie. Look at him. He's like, oh my God. My chin, I can't see my lap past my chin.
You're being a Karen.
You may. Mr. Dean, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Have you had your memory refreshed by looking at your notes?
Yes, I have.
Mr. Pryor, you may inquire.
Would you please tell me what the start date of those messages was, sir?
Start date of the SMS messages that were on the device was July 29th, 2019.
And then again, the end messages were October.
The end of the outgoing messages was October 18th, 2019.
Is there a difference between
Delilah.
outgoing and incoming messages dates?
So,
Delilah, I'd be like,
in other words,
could you get your chin out of the bed
up until
so I can lay
October
down?
18th,
Could you move your chin over?
SMS messages were both received and sent from the device, sent being outgoing. And then after the 18th of October, there were no further outgoing or sent messages from the device.
Were there any incoming messages to the device?
There were.
And when did that date end, sir?
I don't know.
There, I believe in the days following late October and also into November, I would say that
It's bilingual.
there were periodic incoming calls to the device. Up
I don't
until
think
the
anybody was
seizure of the phone.
blowing up Kohberger's phone though.
Do you have an idea about how many?
I'd say between 10 to 20, just an estimation.
Were those included in your report?
Not all of them.
I'm sorry. Were those included in your report?
Not all of them. I made reference to items that appeared on the phone with dates after the 18th in general, but I do not comment in detail about the numbers and timestamps of them.
Interesting,
Why don't we
William.
talk about the emails in the same range?
I'm still here,
If you could
William,
give me
just for
the,
you too.
Identifying dates on the range of the emails and then all of the other forms of messages that came in, I would appreciate if you could go through those.
During the entire length of the activity of the phone, or just after the?
No, what I want is that you talked about text messages, you talked about emails, and you talked about instant messages. Were there any other forms of messages that came
In the
through
name
that
of
phone?
Jesus, Father God, Lord.
Not that I can think of at this time.
Okay. At this time, or are you still looking into that?
The device can be reviewed in future, but at this point, I'm not aware of any further categories of messages.
Okay, so let's go back to my original question. Well, one of my original questions is now give me the date of range for the emails now, please.
May I
Chin
consult the?
Absolutely, please do. Take whatever time you need, sir.
William. William's like, are you still here? I'm like, I'm only here for you, William. It's the only reason I go live. It's the only reason I still do videos is for you,
After
William
the
Mitchell.
witness is reviewing his report to refresh his recollection.
You know, Don's full of shit.
John Pryor is one unique lawyer, that's for sure. I can't wait for BK's trial. He needs a chin rest.
Did you refresh your recollection?
I did. So in this report, I do include the entirety of the items.
William, don't be jealous of Chan's
very long
chin.
report. What I did was I included selected items. So I have the date range for the selected items, but I do not have the date range for all the emails total on the device.
William.
And the decision to
Will I
decide
am
which
Mitchell.
items you were going to include, was that your decision, was it not?
It was.
So the determination as to whether you thought it was important or not in terms of which emails you provided to the prosecutor and ultimately to me was based on what you thought was important. Would that be fair?
When Chad was arrested, they had to handcuff his chin.
Yes.
Okay. And what I'd like to ask you is that if we go from July 29th
They
to
hide-
October 18th, we're
They hide a
looking,
cell tower in Chad's chin.
sir, at approximately 80 days. And your testimony where you said that these were long messages and that you found that unusual that in an 80-day period, this message was a lengthy message. So you're making the determination that based on an 80-day period.
Judge, I'd object to the form of the question. It's getting into a compound. He
Well,
needs
I'm trying to
be-
explain, Judge, and if
I think you need to be able to be asked one question at a time.
Mr. Pryor, I'll let you lay a little bit of foundation for your question, but if you can be more concise and limit
All
it
right.
to one question.
The range for the emails was 80 days, correct?
For the SMS messages or the
SMS
emails?
messages was 80, the emails, the SMS messages was 80 days, is that correct?
Around 80 days, yes.
You got
And in 80
boomers
days,
talking to
you made the
FBI
determination that
analysts.
This was the most lengthy of the messages, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
From between Chad and Tammy.
Right.
Sent from Chad to Tammy.
Now, were there instant messages in this as well?
There were text messages or SMS messages. There were multimedia messages, and there were emails that also had content. And I don't believe there were indications of Facebook activity on the device and the use of Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
But the content, as far as content of Facebook chats or any other chat messaging items, no, I'm not aware of any of those.
And what was the range again of the multimedia?
Mr. Pryor.
Multimedia messages, I'd have to consult my report one more time.
Okay, go ahead.
Chad's chin typed. He's like, it wasn't me, it was my chin. My chin did it. Chambers. Someone said, I thought that was a neck pillow, but it's just your chin. You guys.
She said, we came home, we planted flowers.
The chin teller.
On the side of the house.
Be careful, he might read your chin. Hello, Jacqueline F. We are just being fools on this fabulous Friday. Welcome to chat. Make yourselves known. Oh, Angie B.
Objection.
I object, Angie B. Chinbolian.
Multimedia?
July 17th to the 25th of October, 2019.
Shell.
Now, I'd like to direct your attention back to, and obviously you didn't pull the Facebook messaging. That would be very difficult, would it not?
It simply wasn't on the device. And if I may correct myself, the beginning of the first MMS message on the phone was 7:31. I misspoke.
Welcome, William. Will I am. Everybody give Will I am a big warm welcome.
That's fine, thank you.
He's the only reason I'm here.
The message.
Love you,
from,
Will I am.
Chad to Tammy at 11:53:27. Could you, Judge, does he have the exhibit up there? Could we get him the exhibit?
Which exhibit are you
I
referring?
believe
Exhibit
it's 30.
31?
I believe it's 31, Your Honor.
Exhibity. Let's get some exhibities up.
The witness will be handed exhibit 31.
Your Honor, I believe he still has it.
I think he still does too.
Instead of
Does that
butt
say
dial, a
31
chin
on it,
dial.
Mr. Dean?
Again, could you do me the favor of rereading the message of 11:53:27 again for me, please?
Good
Yes.
Lord. Okay, here we go.
Would you like just the
Hey, Treese.
just the text of the message, or you timestamp, or
Well, we've already
Welcome
established
to the madhouse.
11:53 on September 9th, I think. I think
All
that's
right.
clear. So if you would just read the content of the message, I would appreciate it, sir.
Well, I've had an interesting morning. I felt I should burn all of the limb debris by the fire pit before it got too soaked by the coming storms. While I did so, I spotted a big raccoon along the fence. I hurried and got my gun,
Liar.
and he was still walking along. I got close enough that one shot did the trick. He is
Because
now in
you're
our
a
pet
liar.
cemetery. Fun times.
Okay, hang on.
So
Let's imagine this guy reading BK's text. BK, hello? You're really pretty. No response. You're beautiful. I'd like to have babies with you. You have good birthing hips. No response. Hey, I'll introduce you to Chad Daybell's chin. That's the only time Bryan Kohberger got a response. Oh my God.
your purpose today is to
Not funny.
is to obtain any messages on Tammy Daybell's phone, correct? And provide
Subpoenas.
us with information about messages that were on Tammy Daybell's phone, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Your purpose today is not to decide whether or not wood was burned in a fire pit, correct?
No.
You don't have any information as to
Judge,
whether...
I'd object. This is argumentative.
It's not argumentative, Judge. I'm trying to lay down exactly what the scope of what he's trying to do today. I mean, I think I ought to be able to inquire that he's here
Judge-
just to recite what a text message is and how he obtained it. I want to clarify that he's not suggesting to anyone that Chad Daybell did not burn firewood in a fire pit. And I think I need to be able to go into that.
I think it's pretty clear from the testimony and the foundation that's been laid by this witness that he works at an FBI lab and then he
Thanks, Will.i.am.
analyzed the phone. I think it's also clear that he's not trying to testify as to what those messages are. He's just saying what was found on the phone. So I agree it's unnecessary, and I think it is argumentative.
Okay, I have nothing further, Judge. Thank you.
All right,
All right, so let's see if we have a redirect.
redirect Mr. Remmel.
Nothing based on that,
I
Your
didn't
Honor.
think so. Will.i.am, I want to thank you. I turned Will.i.am from a hater to a listener. I'm just kidding, Will. Thanks for listening and thanks for chiming in and giving your opinion. You know you're appreciated. You know your opinion is appreciated as well. So thank you so much. Not by the hair of Chad's chinny chin chin. So do you guys want to watch? I just wonder how many text messages, it's like, yeah, that's the guy that went over BK's stuff, but did BK really have text messages? He's going to have totally different data, but this is going to be your dude, Benjamin Dean. What do you guys say? Do you want to, on this Friday, would you guys like to watch some Judge Middleton for some Friday, casual Friday action? 3 forest animals. Lick it, slam it, suck it. We're all paranoid about our chins now. Yeah, I don't think he had a ton of texts. Leaf lover Liz, I hope you're enjoying your new job. But yeah, this guy is good. Mr. Pryor tried to throw him off. The dude ain't budging. He's gonna be a good witness, I think. Thank you, Will.i.am. And you know what? You're not gonna agree with everything I say. And if you did, I wouldn't want you here because I want differing opinions. I want a discussion. Pencil Tucky. You going over to see Michael Kohberger?
Just based on my observations, her hair was very greasy.
Put a 1 in chat if you guys want to watch some Judge Middleton on this Friday. How about that? And then on Tuesday, we'll watch the follow-ups to these hearings. There's 2 of them. Let's see here. You guys love the doggies? You guys love the doggies? All right, so this one is going to be this is going to be the domestic violence idiot.
And he wants punishment, which would certainly interrupt
have
the
fun,
treatment
Dara.
protocol that you're on. Are you willing to accept their restitution figure?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's the next one here after this girl.
Fines and costs, that's the one I'm least worried about.
When was that test?
That was on 7.
So how do you?
Here we go. This is his lawyer.
My boss Jeff came to me and he told me that somebody named Dan called and asked if I worked here, and he said yes, I work.
Yeah, this is going to be one we're going to follow up on. This jerk here. Let's go back to the beginning of it.
Threats against the fake ass judge.
He calls someone a fake ass judge. He gets called on the carpet by Middleton.
Zebra, INE.
And you are a probation agent for the 3B.
All right, here we go.
still no Mr. Weller. Which case are you guys here on?
Why are you guys getting
Message,
kicked?
Your Honor, that he's in St. Joe County on his way.
All right.
Apparently, he was called to Ohio for an auto accident. Coming back this morning.
Which case are you here on?
Hi, Mike Sander.
Okay.
Happy Friday.
This is Mr. White.
All right. Oh, who lost the $8,000?
Truth exposed.
You
guys-
well, we'll see whether he shows up or not. It ruins
If
my-
you find any crazy court hearings that you want me to play, go ahead and send them to the team email.
Paul, do you know what he wants to do?
He said he wanted to have a hearing.
All right, we're gonna need a prosecutor.
Fast forward a
No
little bit.
windows in it.
And he loves streaming. He gives people when they're like, "Oh, I don't have any way to get to court." He takes the money from the YouTube channel and he buys round trip bus trips. And he'll be like, "Oh, you can't make it? Well, here's a round trip bus pass, courtesy of the people that watch this channel." It's great. It's great. And there's your defendant. He's there for domestic violence. Just having some fun this Friday afternoon.
Okay. That's my civil case, and here are those first two misdemeanors. 3 FY. I'm getting to the point where I'm gonna have to start wearing cheaters or something, but I've made it this far. In this instant case, the defendant is Trevor William Eugene Hewitt. He was charged with domestic violence and attempted resisting obstructing a police officer.
When did you last work there at that bar? The day before your arrest. So when was that?
He was placed on probation, and Daniel
Hey, Miss
Frazine
Margaret.
is his probation officer. The case took a while. We had some forensic center examination and some other matters. Mr. Frazine has prepared a probation violation allegation and a status report. The allegation is that you violated your probation by
Oh yeah, we'll have a
failing to
BK
pay
hearing
fines and
later.
Costs, failing to abstain from the use of drugs or alcohol or submit to a test on demand, fail to participate in treatment program as directed, and failing to abstain from assaultive or threatening behavior.
Come here, Summer. My dogs are spooning.
This was originally set for Wednesday, August 30th at 9:30, but I had to move it because I have to be gone on Wednesday,
Actually,
so it got
hold on.
crammed in here.
Oops.
The defendant pled not guilty. Allegation and
Josh Robert, that there is still an open and active abuse neglect case with Mr. Hewitt. So the testimony that's taken today by Mr. Frazine will certainly impact that. So I want to make it clear so that there's no question later about this, that Mr. Hewitt is aware that this is sworn testimony.
No money towards his fines.
Okay, this is his probation officer. This is when it gets good. Sorry for the
You
delay.
had
Here we
filed
go.
a petition alleging some conduct, correct?
That is correct.
And we'll go with the first allegation of non-payment of his fines and costs. Can you explain that to the court?
Well, he's placed on probation on January 11th of this year and is now we're almost into September, and he has paid no money towards his fines and costs thus far. And I did check that this morning, and that is still correct.
How much is due and owing?
Well, all total, if he were to go for full term, which would be the total 2 years, which most people don't do, it would be $1,235. Through August, I have a total of $535.
And he ain't paid shit.
Is it $505?
Yes, after you deduct the oversight fees.
Have you had contact with Mr. Hewitt about this deficiency?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
He, well, right from the get-go, when I met him at jail, and I did his, the PSI on this, he had a plate in there, I was just going by what he disclosed to me, obviously, which was related to, or maybe it was some screws, but it was a work-related injury. So when he got out and was, he did call me when he first got out of jail, and he said he had to tend to that and get with his doctor and surgeon and see what was going to do in it. That did take a while to get that resolved, the issues with his leg or ankle.
Okay. You also alleged that he failed to abstain from the use of alcohol or drugs or submit to a test on demand. Can you give specific about that?
Mostly that has to do with the lack of money for testing. I did get it one test and he was positive for marijuana, but
And when was that test?
that was on 7/19/2023. Everything else was negative other than the marijuana.
Thanks, guys. They have an Amazon wish
Is that
list
the
if you'd like
only
to get them
test
some
that he
treats.
submitted to upon request?
That is correct.
And how many times had you requested where he refused?
Well, there's two that I officially sent him, but there were many times I just said, and I suppose if I sent you today, you wouldn't have any money. And he'd say, yeah, that would be the case. So there was two that I officially had sent him and he refused that.
Are there options for those who cannot afford to test?
If they are working with county mental health and services, then there is grant money that I will pay for the testing.
Did you advise Mr. Hewitt of that?
That is correct, I did.
And when did you tell him that?
I tell them that right when they're do their intake for probation.
Was it recommended that Mr. Hewitt go to get some
Mr.
mental
Hewitt
health
takes the
services?
stand.
My understanding is not only did I recommend that.
For everybody that's joining, we're just watching, this is Judge Middleton. We're just watching some court hearings that we're going to follow up on next week. This is Judge Middleton up in Michigan. We're watching a domestic violence guy who violated his probation, and then he's going to take the stand. And then we're going to watch another one where a guy is a sovereign citizen. And then we're going to follow up on those on Tuesday when they're back in court live.
But also with, he's involved with.
BK is in court. It is being recorded by Court TV from what I understand, and it will be released later.
CPS, and through them, they were also recommended. And I do know that he had talked to Heather, who's an infant mental health specialist, who's probably dealing with the stuff I'm guessing that's going on with the child that is in foster care services.
And your notes indicate that that was back in February 2023 with Heather from CMH.
Trevor Hewitt did not make any payments toward the money he's supposed to pay when he was on probation.
That is correct.
And so the amount of $555, that's what you're saying he would owe, I guess, if his probation term was cut short?
Scheduling conference.
Okay.
If I've done my math correct, that is correct. Because we don't charge them for the time that they are not on probation.
The guy's about to take the stand in just a second. Wait for it.
So it sounds like a lot of the times when maybe the defendant didn't test, did you discuss things with the defendant, and did he in a sense admit that he had been using, and so in a sense he didn't test because you thought that he would end up be positive anyway?
No, he'd always stated that he would have no problems passing the test. He just said that he didn't have any money to test.
And they get away with that?
We can't just take people at their face value. We have to have confirmation.
So on one of the days that I think that you indicated in your summary that it was not going to test, it looks like that he ended up maybe contacting you later in the day on July 19th. He had actually gotten a ride because it appears that earlier in the day you indicated that you had contacted him and that he didn't have any way to get the testing. But I believe that that's the one positive test
Trey.
he did have was
drugs, testing for
19th.
drugs.
Is that correct?
As I'm reading that, that sounds correct.
Yeah, Carly came and got me.
Okay, so in that, would you say that on that day, maybe he did, in a sense, it may have been a few hours later, but he did actually end up testing, even though originally it was gonna be a failure to test?
Yeah, he did test on that day. That's correct.
Okay,
One day you were requesting me to. I thought we were doing really good, Dan.
now it looks like on June 30th, I believe that might have been a day that, is that a day that you said the defendant was asked to test and he didn't test?
What day is that?
June 30th, 2023. I think it would be
I
on.
had that down as a refusal, yes.
Okay. Now, it did say in the report that defendant called and said that he's
You have to
going
test
into
your
treatment
neck.
today because he is struggling with sobriety.
I've been on my feet all day.
So, although the defendant did not test that day, he admitted to you that he was struggling with sobriety.
Yes, he said he was struggling as far as cravings, but he didn't
No.
say, he did not say that he's been using other than the marijuana.
The marijuana. That shouldn't even count anymore.
Did the defendant indicate to you that day that he was going to Coldwater Psychiatric Hospital?
Did he verbally tell me that? Yes, he did verbally tell me that he was going to go, yes.
Do you know if did you ever follow up to be able to determine if the defendant actually did go to Coldwater Psychiatric?
They are advised they have to give me any paperwork, sign releases, and I have nothing to corroborate that he went there.
Okay.
Oh, rest your neck. Keep your chin up.
Mr. Hewitt, I'll give you a chance to give your side of the story, but just stop muttering over there. It's going on the record and you're not under oath.
Oh,
I'll give you a chance to tell me whatever you want to tell me.
he's muttering
So
over there.
with regard to the assaultive or threatening behavior, I would assume that you're saying that you are, your knowledge of these threats is based upon what other people told you, correct?
That is correct. What I have in a police report and what other people who are
Tuck your chin in.
reporters,
Okay.
mandated reporters have reported to me, yes.
Tuck it.
So would you, although I understand that the violation would be, quote, assaultive or threatening behavior, and the word assault or assaultive has been used today quite
Let's
a
get
bit.
this
And I guess,
POS up on the
would
stand.
it be fair
Here.
to say that he first got on probation?
All right, now he's going to take the stand. He's been kicked back in his chair, muttering. The judge had to talk to him about it. Here we go.
Please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief.
I swear.
Thank you. Please have a seat. Mr. Gibson?
Is it correct that you were placed on probation
Mike Sanner?
on January 11th, 2023?
That is correct.
You understand court during the term of probation?
No.
Now, were you employed during the entire term of probation?
No.
Of course not.
So, is it correct that when you
Hey,
first got on
Elaine.
probation, you were still, I guess you could say, injured and maybe not released for work because of a prior work accident?
That is correct. I had a titanium plate and 8 screws in my left foot. Got removed in May
In May of what year?
this year.
Okay. So until that stuff was removed, were you available to work?
No.
So once you were cleared to work, did you make efforts to find employment?
Yes.
And when did you begin that process?
Immediately shortly after I had the plate removed. I had
Okay.
a 3-week healing process and
So probably either May or June of this year?
yeah.
And then did you get a job?
Yes.
And where was that at?
Want to retire.
So when do you believe you started working there?
I'm not really sure. That was just like a spur of the moment kind of thing. I can't remember the day I started.
Okay. How long did you work there?
Up until the date of the arrest.
Okay. So if not for your arrest,
I'd
You
still
would
be working there.
still be working there, you
I
think?
got arrested in a Fawn River kayak shirt,
Okay. How much were you being paid at Fawn River?
$10 an hour cash.
Okay. And you were working a lot of hours there?
Good
7
afternoon,
days a
Jet
week
Set.
from 8 to 6, and Saturday and Sunday I'd work until 9.
Some loser in for domestic violence. We're watching a random court hearing.
Really a quarter to 8, get there at 7:45 every morning.
Did you tell your probation agent, Dan, about the job there?
Yeah.
Andy. We watched the FBI guy already.
Confirmed it. My boss Jeff came to me and he told me that somebody named Dan called and asked if I worked here, and he said, yes, I work here. And that was it.
So, do you recall that at times during your probation, you were asked to submit to a drug test?
Yeah. There was one time when I was living in the Meyer parking lot of Three Rivers, and I had told him that, you know, I'm barely getting by right now, and he said, I understand that. I believed it was excused. The one time that I was available to test, I was at work, and I had to talk my boss into letting me leave. He had to run into town, and when he came back from town, he let me go.
And did you test that day?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember what the date was?
No. Last month.
So was there ever a time that you were asked to test and that you told Dan you couldn't?
Because of financial ability, the one time.
So they can just say, oh, I can't afford it, and they could just get excused?
Did you?
Doesn't seem like that would be the case.
Was that a day that you told Dan that you were struggling with sobriety?
Possibly, yes.
When you would tell Dan that you were struggling with sobriety, would you give him any more details, like admit to using controlled substances?
He wouldn't ask. He didn't ask for specific details. My point of view was Dan was really, I don't know, I thought I was doing all right, man. We had a lot of conversations about his house being built by Champion Home Builders and me working for Champion Home Builders and stuff, so.
Do you recall an incident where
Yeah, I don't understand that either, Dara.
you were accused of going to the work of Carly, and that you were accused of threatening her at her work?
And what day would that be?
I believe it was at Applebee's in April.
Why do you think that, Forest Animals? Forest Animals, why do you think that? Because I think he was out there too.
Dispatch, police officer.
It was in the end of April, beginning of May 2023 at the Applebee's in Three Rivers. Do you recall an accusation that you had threatened Carly that day?
No, nothing about threatening her. Went to her work one day and she snatched my key fob out of my truck and ran inside. My truck was basically stranded outside of Applebee's until one of her coworkers called the cops, and the cop came and made her give me my key back after running the tags and registration on my truck and it coming back in my name. He came out and said, it's obviously your truck. And I said, yeah.
Hey,
Did you go to Applebee's to see her that day, or did you just happen to be at Applebee's?
Of a request from her to go pick up food, probably. She fed me. She worked at Applebee's. She gave me food.
Since you were placed on probation, have you threatened Carly Harmon in any way?
Absolutely not.
How much is a test,
Were
I
you
wonder?
ever physically assaulted toward her after you were placed on probation?
Absolutely not.
There's an allegation that she was punched in the arm by you since you've been placed on probation. Did that occur?
Today is the first I'm hearing about that. I never
Sure.
talked to Hopkins about that. I've had quite a few run-ins with Detective Hopkins, and that wasn't one of them.
Run-ins.
One since I've been released from prison was a Tiffany situation. Neither here nor there. My phone number hasn't changed since I've been out of prison, though, so I think it would be very easy for the Sturgis Police Department to get hold of me.
You're
Andy.
accused of threatening
I heard.
DHHS staff or pivotal staff or making threats in their presence. Do you recall that?
Last year, not since I've been on probation, no. I haven't really had any runs.
So did you make any threats since you've been placed on probation to anyone from the DHHS staff or pivotal?
Absolutely not. I've had one meeting with Heather since I've been on probation. I haven't talked to any other CPS workers or anything. I haven't communicated with any of them.
Do you recall that you were asked to participate in a treatment program as part of your probation?
Yeah, the DV class.
Did you participate and complete that?
No. I had numerous occasions where I talked to Bill from the DV class.
He didn't do anything that he was supposed to
It was
do.
arranged eventually. Every single penny I've been making has been gone to Carly. She wouldn't have her apartment if it wasn't for me. I paid for a deposit on her apartment. I paid for everything. I paid for gas to get her back and forth to work. I paid for gas to get her to her drug testing. I paid for everything. So no, I haven't been.
What a hero. It's her
financially
fault.
Able to pay for anything.
It's her fault that he can't take the test.
She wouldn't have her awesome apartment if it wasn't for me.
She would never awesome apartment if it wasn't for me.
The probation agent says that at some point during your probation, you had indicated that you were going to be moving to the Detroit area.
I did.
Okay, so
Sterling Heights.
When did you move?
Stay away from Sterling Heights.
I don't recall. I just packed up my stuff and left.
And that was during the term of probation?
Yes, sir.
Did you let your probation agent know?
No.
I believe. Maybe, I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't believe I had any intention of ever coming back, so more than likely not.
So how long were you in Detroit?
Over a month.
And then you did return?
Yeah, sadly.
So at the time that you moved to Detroit, your intention was to stay there and never come back to this area?
Yeah, get gainful
He
employment.
is
because they have a
disgusting.
champion home builders, like,
Gaslighting.
15 minutes away from where I was staying in Sterling Heights.
Did you make any steps to start a probation transfer or anything along those lines?
Wasn't there long enough.
Now, on or about June 30th of 2023, it was alleged that you had told your probation agent that you were going to the Coldwater Psychiatric Hospital, and that he told you when you get there to sign a release. Did you go to the Coldwater Psychiatric?
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, he did.
I'm not aware of any release, though.
Were you there then? Did you spend time there?
Yes.
How long were you there?
Is someone farting?
2 weeks.
Did they recommend any follow-up treatment?
Yeah.
Have you been participating in that?
Haven't been able to. I was scheduled to go to CMH on the 24th of this month.
Okay.
My doctor was transferred to Blake Weimer in LaGrange, and I was scheduled to go to CMH on the 24th.
Everybody else's
Got
fault.
food stamps started in LaGrange, got all sorts of cool stuff.
So this was all gonna be in LaGrange?
Cool stuff?
Yeah. But as Dan told me that we have some sort of like a 20-mile radius or something that I was still able to be there. Because it wasn't a certain range away from it or something. I can't remember what it was. So I didn't feel like I was breaking any laws by being in LaGrange.
So do you believe that you can continue this probation and complete your probation?
Michigan.
If given another opportunity, absolutely. mean, the job is probably in question, but
Is there anything else that you want to say in defense to this probation violation accusation?
He's
I thought I was doing okay, man. I was slow rolling it. Obviously, I had some issues to begin with. You know what I mean? The surgery and everything, waiting for that to heal up, and then trying to find gainful employment. I kind of lucked into the Fawn River kayak job, but yeah, I was looking into the rule, and I had to stay clean for 30 days before I could pass a piss test to, a urinalysis. I apologize.
So classy.
Urinalysis.
So classy.
Get a CDL, DOT policy. So I was kind of struggling with that, but then I lucked into the job in Fawn River kayak, and a buddy of mine had the job and he couldn't do it because of his injuries, and I could.
So is your injury now is fully healed that you had surgery for?
I don't know what capacity you would say fully healed, but yeah, man, I was working. I was pulling kayaks up a steep hill, and I was driving a van and backing a trailer into a driveway, and I was taking people, dropping them off, and launching kayaks down the river. I enjoyed my job, and I did a very, very awesome job. According to my boss, really liked my, work ethic.
Okay.
Didn't have any issues working.
I don't have any further questions.
Let's let the prosecutor, Miss Davis.
Under the circumstances, I'm not going to ask him any questions at this time, Mary. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hewitt. You can step down.
Miss Davis says, I got nothing to say to this loser. The judge will probably have something to say, though. He's going to see him next Tuesday.
Anything further, Mr. Gibson?
No, Your Honor.
He says, see you next Tuesday.
The defendant was placed on probation in January. There was a large block of upfront jail time. This was originally charged as a felony, I believe. Resisting and obstructing and the domestic violence. As Daniel indicated, the probation hasn't gone very well. Some of it was the defendant's physical limitations, and some of it is just his state of mind. There is a PPO in effect that was issued by Judge Pattison, I believe, and there's a hearing coming up on that. And the defendant is credible in some regard that she keeps contacting him, but he's clearly aware that the personal protection order prohibits him from having any contact with her because he knows he was contacted by the police. They didn't do anything, which they should have, lodged him right away. So he continues to have contact, violation of the PPO. Judge Pattison will deal with that at the PPO hearing. He was given 112 days jail, I think, and he's got another 16 under his belt now. He hasn't tested. If he'd gotten connected with community mental health services, they would have paid for the testing. He hasn't done the domestic violence class.
He hasn't done shit,
CPS
Judge.
was willing to pay for the class, and he didn't cooperate with them, so they didn't pay for the class. Time frames are unclear. He went to Detroit for a period of time, which I'm not sure we even knew that. Then he was in the hospital for some period of time. I believe he was. I don't think it was weeks, but we never had a release. So we can't just call him up and say, hey, what happened here? They won't disclose any of that. Then at some point he starts working. And I'm not sure that we learned about it till after the fact. So he didn't pay, which is the least of my concerns. But we had the opportunity for someone to pay for his testing, but he didn't cooperate with CPS. Or he didn't cooperate with CMH, no, Pivotal. We had someone that would pay for his domestic violence class, but didn't cooperate with them. He continued to violate his personal protection order, and it's alleged that in July that he assaulted Carly Harmon. This is a probation violation hearing, and it's somewhat strange proceeding in that, one, hearsay is admissible. The rules of evidence don't apply strictly to a probation violation hearing. And two, the standard for the burden of proof is lower than a conviction. It's lower than proof beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a preponderance standard, I believe. I believe it's more than probable cause. So
throw the book
I don't
at
have
him.
to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you violated it, and I don't have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt through direct testimony. The hearsay is a little distant. It's secondhand hearsay. Daniel was told by somebody who may have been told by somebody.
Dude will never
but they're
change.
Clearly afraid of you,
Bye,
CMH
Ange.
and CPS.
Thank you, Angie. Have a great weekend.
But I think your representation of some of that preceded the probation is probably accurate. Basically, once you got out of jail, we haven't accomplished very much, and you've been sort of on your own program. The recommendation was to just revoke the probation and impose the balance of jail. I guess some of the PPO facts are going to come out in the PPO hearing. Ms. Davis, do you have any further recommendation?
Throw him in prison.
I just wanted to point out that my notes at the time that he was sentenced on this and placed on the probation, the court was concerned about his ability to behave himself, I guess, basically, that there was concern about lifting the no contact, but that Ms. Harmon wanted the no contact lifted. That being said, that doesn't give him free rein to have contact with her if there is some other order of another court, whether it be the abuse and neglect court or whether it be Judge Patterson's court through the PPO, which was issued according to the court records on 7/11 of 23, which would have been after this incident that's alleged on 7/6 of 23. Which was not ever turned into our office to review for any charges. So I was not aware of it until today. But certainly the incident that's alleged for August for the PPO violation, he is certainly aware that there was that. And his behavior before being placed on probation with CPS and with Carly and with Heather DeCastro, yes, some of that probably was before, but he earned it. And then after, since he's been out, he's continued and it sounds like escalated his assault over threatening behavior. With Mr. Frezine, he's been verbally abusive. We're all adults here. We can take words, but his behavior is not that of somebody who wants help. His behavior is that of somebody who wants to make excuses and make himself look like he's in the best light, that he's, giving all of this money that he's making to Carly. Well, it's his own testimony is that Carly is also gainfully employed. So,
he's gaslighting.
He wants to put himself in that victim role that he doesn't have the money to test and he doesn't have the money to do this because he's just giving. But in reality, if he is doing that, his priorities are out of line and he's being assaulted and threatening and abusive in doing that. So it's certainly not helping his overall situation. And if he would take the effort to get into the DV class that would be paid for by CPS and get into substance abuse counseling
Too many
that
chances.
would be provided by CMH Pivotal, he would learn these things.
Too many chances.
But he's not ready to learn these things. So at this point, I would ask the court to impose the balance of the year. Part of the reason I did not ask him any questions is because ethically, I don't feel it's appropriate because there is that PPO violation and the notes in it when I pulled it up are that this probably should have been sent up as an ag stalking, that sort of thing. So he may have more charges coming his way, but he was given the option for probation with the knowledge that the recommendation was going to be a lot of jail if he didn't take this opportunity to better his situation, and he didn't. So I'd ask that the balance of the year be.
Bye, Felicia.
That is true. There was an understanding that there was a lot of jail hung over his head. Mr. Gibson, what's your thought?
Well, the defendant to my knowledge, has been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, and that he does have, genuine mental health issues or concerns. It's my understanding that he did have a forensic evaluation. He indicated that he had been diagnosed with mental health problems and that he was on medication. One aspect of this case that made, I believe, things a lot more difficult for the defendant was that he had suffered a work-related accident prior to the arrest for this case, and so he was trying to
doing butt joints.
go through rehab.
There's a lot of butt joints.
He had, it's my understanding, he had gotten addicted to painkillers as part of his the injury that he suffered.
There's a lot of butt
and
joints.
that, so he was dealing with a lot of stuff going into this probation. So, I would ask the court to take all this stuff into consideration.
What about his
because the
victim? I'm
defendant
sure she has PTSD from being with his ass.
He has considerable jail credit. He served considerable jail time before he pled in this case. So I would ask the court to take that all into consideration, as the defendant has made definitely some efforts here, but he was dealing with a lot. He had a lot that he had to deal with that the typical defendant wouldn't have to deal with, recovering from a very complicated medical surgery and those kind of things. So thank you.
Can I speak again, Your Honor?
No,
All right, let him have it, Judge.
that's what your lawyer's job is. The defendant is intelligent, but he does have mental health issues, but he's a gaslighter. He's making other people look like they're crazy, and he's not. That they're at fault, and he's not. And he's pretty good at it. And I don't know what Carly's circumstance is. I think there's some credibility in the defendant's statement that she's voluntarily having contact with him in violation of her own PPO, which certainly doesn't help her.
We do, Doug Lover.
Defendant did some things, other things he didn't. First of all, I do find that the prosecution has established that the defendant has violated his probation. He's failed to.
He doesn't even care that
or
he's
even
on
start
probation.
any of the treatment that was offered to be paid by CPS. He's failed to test, and some of that was offered to be paid for by Pivotal if he'd gotten involved with CMH. But then he did at some later point. There was this incident in July. I don't know why it didn't come in as a criminal complaint. I think Ms. Harmon was not cooperative. And I think that you can have looser rules of evidence in PPO hearings and probation violation
Get to
hearings
it, Judge.
can in a criminal matter where it requires proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So I don't know what to make of that. Daniel's just saying, let's just put him away as long as possible.
Yeah.
And then he gets out.
Put him away.
Not sure I like that option either. But
This
I don't
judge
think
is
I'm
really-
going to be any more successful this probation later than I am now. He has 112
Hey, Nightbot,
days
Miss Nightbot.
plus 16 days, which is 128.
Exactly, Jen P.
Order 180 days credit 128.
He's not happy.
What is that?
He's gonna stay in jail.
52 days minus good time. Probation is continued. I can always revoke it or close it later. Because I want a better plan. I want a release. I'm willing to get off your back, Mr. Hewitt. But I'm not just casting you to the winds without any sort of
Welcome back, Jammers. Hope everything's okay.
So we'll address this further. We'll see also what happens with the PPO hearing. That could be up to 90 days. You do have some credit. And we'll see what we could get with Lisa
See you
for
next
some sort of
Tuesday, motherfucker.
CMH treatment. All right, you're free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hug, man.
Deborah, I have another
That dude
tough
ain't
case.
that dude ain't never gonna
You
learn.
don't know anything about.
So I should sit back down.
Mr. Weller's sleeping through most of this, but we're gonna wake him up here to do our hearing.
I wondered.
All right. Yeah, that other guy's sleeping. Okay, here's our other one. This one's a little more exciting.
Full traffic.
So this one is the sovereign citizen one. 34 minutes in. We don't know when BK is going to be done. I don't know how long. It's a sentencing or a scheduling conference. So they're going to be scheduling out hearings to deal with all of these motions, I'm sure. Like his motion to dismiss, the camera issue. I don't know if they're talking that out today. So we'll know when it's done. It's pre-recorded and then it'll be released. I believe. I'm not even 100% sure that it's going to be recorded. I heard it is. Court TV is supposed to be the pool camera, so we'll see. When it comes out, yes, I will. I'll go live and play it. So this is going to be our other one we're going to be following up on Tuesday. So that POS we're going to see on Tuesday now. This one is Mr. Jensen. Mr. Jensen was in court on the 29th of August. And this is for a traffic violation, which could be resolved very, very easily, but he is a pain in the ass.
Gosh, you kind of inherited this. Mr. Jensen was originally charged with traffic violations. The matter was set for a jury trial for August 16th, I believe it was. We had summoned jurors and we were ready to proceed. Earlier that week, I believe August 14th, Mr. Marvin filed a felony complaint based on the same set of facts.
Thank you, Leslie Watkins.
So the matter was set for a pre-exam conference. Mr. Jensen has made every court hearing. But he did express that he wants to represent himself. I offered to appoint counsel at
Thank you,
each
Jackie
stage of the
Bushable.
misdemeanor proceedings, and again in this case.
On this channel, yes.
But he declined. So, Mr. Jensen, you still wish to represent yourself in this matter?
I wish to have this case completely dismissed.
Well, everybody feels that way. Everybody else who wants their case dismissed, raise your right hand. Yeah, that's unanimous. So that's not up to me. But the question is, I'm willing to appoint counsel for you, but you've represented to me at each stage you wish to represent yourself.
I do not wish to have any counsel.
All right. Well, then let's talk about where we are. Where's the complaint?
He sounds like a scary person. I do not wish to have any counsel.
The complaint alleges that on or about April 6th in Lockport Township, that you did obstruct justice by preferring a counterfeit U.S. passport and counterfeit international driver's license at the time of a lawful traffic stop, an attempt to avoid criminal liability for driving without a license. The way that is charged, it is a felony punishable by up to 5 years imprisonment and a fine of up to $10,000. The second count is possession of a reproduced, altered, counterfeit, or forged chauffeur's license. Operator's or chauffeur's license. That's a misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in jail and a fine of up to $2,000. Count 3 alleges that you had no valid operator's license, plain old no ops. Are also charged with a civil infraction of no proof of insurance.
And I object to those. I object to that being labeled as counterfeit on all of those.
Thank you,
documents.
Leslie. I appreciate you.
Mr. O'Bear, do you have any instructions here or a plea offer or?
So the offer would be if the defendant wanted to plead to count 3, operating with no
Look at this
license.
lawyer. He
the
looks like he's
90-day
wearing a wig. It looks
misdemeanor,
like Rex
We
Huerman.
would recommend fines and costs.
Oh, shit. We're going to go over BK's fly after this. Stay tuned. BK's crotch coming up next.
I object to that, and I will not consent to that either.
It sounds like Chad Daybell.
All right, let me unpack
I don't
that a little
consent
bit.
to my chin being on trial.
All right, you're charged with a felony. And you're charged with possession of a false or forged counterfeit license. You're also charged with no proof of insurance.
Hello?
Prosecutor would dismiss all of those charges if you plead to no valid operator's license with a fine and cost. You may be the first person in my 21-year career that objects to having all the felony charges dismissed for a plea to a $200 fine. Nonetheless, you object.
I object to the fact that it's been labeled as counterfeit.
All right, well, they're just willing to dismiss that charge. The allegation in count 3 is that you are operating a vehicle on a public roadway without having a valid license, sometimes called no ops or no valid operator's license. It's under 257301 of the Michigan Traffic Code.
Keep it
Punishable
simple.
by up to 90 days in jail and a fine of up to $100. It carries 2 points and it goes on your driving record. If you plead guilty to that charge, I'm going to fine you $225. I'm going to give you time to pay it, and the matter will be done. If you don't wish to plead to that, we're going to have a preliminary examination next Wednesday, where the prosecutor will attempt to bind you over to circuit court on felony charges.
We'll see you next Tuesday.
And continue the matter for a felony conviction with potential prison sentence.
This guy's an idiot.
So his offer is to just be done with all of it for a plea to no valid operators. That's, I frankly was kind of surprised by the generous offer, but that's what it is. So our options are to plead to having no valid operator's license. You can even plead no contest. You can plead no contest. You don't admit what happened, but you also don't deny what happened. You allow or accept that a conviction will enter.
Is that a wig, you guys?
I have a fundamental disagreement about what it means to operate a vehicle or what it means to travel. But if you want this matter to be over with, you can enter a no contest plea to no valid operator's license. If you want to reap the whirlwind, we can have a preliminary examination next Tuesday afternoon regarding the matter. What would you like to do, Mr. Jensen?
I don't accept any of that.
All right. That will be set for prelim.
And just to make it clear, this would be the third time that a charge of no operator's license has been levied against me, and I'm standing against it because those documents are valid, and I object to them being labeled as counterfeit.
Find out next week. So that will be Tuesday, September 5th.
We will see you next Tuesday
at 1 p.m. Prelim.
I will
All right.
I will
Bond
resend
is
it.
Continued. You're free to go.
And just a reminder of the civil case that is ongoing, and those who are named in that, yourself and Mr.
He's
Marvin
suing
as
them.
well.
Watch.
Just to make sure that
Which civil case
He's
is that?
suing the judge.
civil
Watch.
case, the notices, and all the recusals and everything that's been filed into this case that I've been filing in.
Watch.
To make note of that.
The judge is like, what? I'm named in a lawsuit?
Well, let's take a look. Oh,
I know. I'll be back in a minute,
you
Jeffrey.
filed a August 28th, which is yesterday. I got this. I didn't see it.
He hadn't seen it.
Objection to the report and recommendation in the matter of civil case. You filed this in federal court?
This was done in a federal court, has a federal case number on it. And all the defendants are listed.
He's suing all the court people.
All right.
Along with the notice.
Oh, it's great pleadings. It cites Abraham and the Book of Nations and a bunch of other jabberwocky. But it has been filed in the federal court. All right, that's all a matter of.
He filed a lawsuit against all the court people, and the judge is named on it, and he never saw it until now.
A bunch of other jabberwocky. But
he's reading through the lawsuit. Listen.
All right.
Along with the notice.
Oh, it's great pleadings. It cites Abraham and the Book of Nations and a bunch of other jabberwocky. But it has been filed in the federal court. All right, that's all a matter of record. It's in the file. And you've even got Hebrew letters in here. Okay, I'll see you next.
See you next Tuesday.
Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Yes. Yes.
I'm Mr. Jensen's transportation.
Yes.
And on the 5th, my wife has chemo, and I have to take her to that. Is there a way that we can put it off to the following?
Nope, not after his
Is that
shenanigans.
all right, Mr. Jensen?
That would dump the matter on Judge Pattison, which I'm sure he would greatly dislike. So I'm sorry, but we'll leave it for that date.
It would be the 6th, that would work.
I'm open to any date at this point.
The judge is like, well, I'm not.
We schedule things at certain times and everything affects everything else. So no, it's next Tuesday. You could be done with this for $225. And
I'm not giving it to this other judge.
So it'll be next Tuesday, sworn testimony in court regarding this matter. You wish to not have counsel, and we'll continue that. I'll make further record. At this point, I'm declining to recuse myself.
He's not going to recuse himself.
This is just a straightforward matter. All right, next Tuesday, 1 o'clock. You can make your way here somehow. Do you need a bus pass? I'll give you that. All right, you're free to go.
I'll give you a bus pass. The judge.
Mr. McWayo, good morning.
The judge. All right, so we will watch him. See you next Tuesday, mofo. Oh my God, he could be done with it for $225, but he's making a point. People have nothing else to do, I guess. Dumb criminal of the week. For sure, for sure. Let's read about BK's crotch before we sign off here. This is breaking news. This is breaking news in the Bryan Kohberger world today. Well, just so you know, that guy, the judge, uses his bus passes, or he uses his YouTube money to give them bus passes round trip. So there's no excuses from these people. All right, let me place myself back up here. Get situated. All right. So we have a new motion that is broken down here by Newsweek for us. And it says, the very top, Bryan Kohberger's attorneys fight over footage of his crotch. You can't make this up. Yikes. And yeah, you might want to go back and do your recaption in the community post. Because remember, she would like this. Maybe he saw our caption post. Lawyers for the Idaho quadruple murder suspect, Bryan Kohberger, recently argued that cameras in court are focusing too much on their client's crotch and should be removed for future hearings. Last week, lawyers for Kohberger filed a motion in court for the removal, citing several issues with past camera footage, including a claim that some cameras have been targeting his fly. What? What? This is bananas. There's one camera, a pool camera.
John Wayne Bobbitt's penis.
On Wednesday, several media outlets, including the Associated Press, filed a motion to intervene, asking the court to allow cameras in Kohberger's coming hearings. And here's my ads, you know, Jay's ads, because my neck, right? There he is. He thinks that people are looking at his crotch. In addition, although Mr. Kohberger argues that he is entitled to defend himself against capital charges without cameras focused on his fly, that assertion misstates the role that courtroom camera coverage played in the X, formerly Twitter, social media post that appears at page 3 of his motion. We're going to have to go look at this motion. No photographs or camera coverage focused on Mr. Kohberger's fly. The motion filed by the news outlet said. The motion filed by the news organization goes on to state that camera coverage in the courtroom is not specifically focused on Kohberger, but instead shows a wide variety of coverage of the overall case. What? Newsweek reached out to Ann Taylor via email on Thursday and received no comment. Do I drool at night? Ask my phone if I drool at night. What is this? What are these ads? It's so weird. Here's some comments. Well, I've never heard a focused on his fly defense used in court before. Maybe Trump should use it in his televised Georgia trial. Those lawyers are projecting and desperate. Deborah, I think he needs his crotch cut apart while he is alive. So much he is requesting and it's crazy. He is a devil. He deserves nothing but a firing squad. If they were my beautiful babies, he would not be walking around with a big smile on his face. Not guilty. Have they seen his face? Don't look directly at it. You had me at crotch footage. Daddy likey. Oh my God. All right, let's go to the Latah County site and look at this for ourselves. What is this asshole doing? Now he's bringing attention to his peen? Nasty. Just nasty. All right. My God, all these motions. Okay. Which one is it? Seventh supplemental request for discovery. Which one is this, you guys? There's so many new ones. That's asking for it to be sealed. Do you guys know? Okay, here's Court TV. Yep, they are video recording it today, September 1st at 1 p.m. And they have the pool camera. KXLY. Pool camera. Notice of intent not to cross-examine defendant witnesses. Where's the crotchy one? At the hearing on the state's motion for a protective order and defendant's third motion to compel, held on August 18th, the court allowed the state to reserve cross-examination of Gabriela Vargas and Leah Larkin. The state has determined that it need not cross-examine either of these witnesses. In addition, the state mentioned during its argument at the hearing that Judge Whitney in Canyon County ruled on a similar issue 1 week prior to the hearing, and that the state would provide the written ruling once available. Finally, at the hearing on August 23rd, defense counsel suggested in open court that the state had improperly contacted Ms. Vargas. The state has attached, under seal as Exhibit B, the reports and other records that explain the contact. The state would ask this court to grant the requested protective order or permit the state to present the information it seeks to protect the court in an in-camera hearing. So it sounds like Thompson wants. What is this? This is from that case he cited. So they're not going to cross-examine. But this is all about hair found in someone's underwear. We're going to have to do another live and go over these in depth because I haven't seen any of this. I just want to, which one, hold on, let me come back to chat. Which one is the crotch motion? Crotch gate. Yes, I thought you were joking, Mike. I had no idea. Hey, Casey Marie. Kendi, you say moist, you lose a testicle. Where is Eddie right now? I don't know. We're going to have to read that. It's like another case. They're talking about the evidence in another case. Motion to remove cameras in the courtroom. I bet this is it. Comes now. Here it is. I bet you this is it. Hold on. Hold the phone. We are diving into Crotchgate right now, and that is disgusting. Bryan Kohberger's crotch. Like Chad Daybell's chin, we have Bryan Kohberger's crotch. Okay. Comes now. Bryan C. Kohberger, through his attorneys of record, and files this motion to remove cameras from the courtroom for the remainder of the proceedings in this matter, pursuant to his right to a fair trial and effective assistance of counsel guaranteed by the 6th and 14th Amendments. Oh my God, they have screenshots. Camera-wielding courtroom observers have failed to obey the court's June 27th directive to cease focusing exclusively on Mr. Kohberger, necessitating the expulsion of cameras from future proceedings. The question presented by this motion is whether Mr. Kohberger faces deprivation of his right under the 14th Amendment to due process by the continued televising and broadcasting of his trial. Recent press behavior in the courtroom clearly demonstrates that this is the case. Nearly 2 months ago, on June 27th, 2023, the court warned press observers not to focus strictly on Mr. Kohberger and to show a wide shot of the courtroom if they wish to continue filming court proceedings live. Fox News, Bryan Kohberger, judge issues warning to media at start of hearing on Idaho student murders, June 27th, 2023, with the link. Press observers have thus far failed have thus far failed to comply with the court's direction, as the continued publication of images, such as these shown below, continues to the present day. Okay, none of those pictures show a crotch. These photos, a blatant violation of the court's directive to cease focusing exclusively on Mr. Kohberger in their own right. Also later, they can't zoom in on him, but I can. Also later appended to articles with blatantly sensationalistic and I can't even say that word. Oh my gosh, I can't say it. Help me. Prejudicial headlines and content. The rightmost of the three photos above being used in an August 22, 2023 Daily Beast article. Report says Kohberger's creepiness with women goes back to high school. Oh my God. Further, the cameras he's browsing social media, isn't he? Is he able to be on Twitter? Further, the camera's continued exclusive focus on Mr. Kohberger provides fodder for observers and purported analysis on social media who are not bound by notions of journalistic integrity and who have potentially an even greater reach than traditional media outlets. The proliferation of these images and videos is plainly observable on social media platforms such as TikTok and X, in posts such as these provided below. What? They think that's his crotch. As the as the press itself notes in the June 27th admonition, the court referenced the recent Chad Daybell trial when cameras were asked to leave because they focused too much on the defendant. Indeed, such a parallel was drawn in the defense's prior memorandum on cameras during hearings. Yet, camera-wielding courtroom observers remain undeterred. The chief function of our judicial machinery is to ascertain the truth. The use of television, however, cannot be said to contribute materially to this objective. Rather, its use amounts the injection of an irrelevant factor into court proceedings. As has previously been argued, the circumstances present in Mr. Kohberger's case are singular and pose an extraordinary risk of prejudice beyond even that posed in Estes. Observers' continued failure to comply with the court's June 27th directive compounds this problem and results in the potential jury pool's constant inundation with conclusory accusations and sensationalistic nonsense guised as factual reporting and analysis. Whereas in Testes, the attendant risk of prejudice was limited to potential jurors watching of television or reading of print media. Now this risk follows the potential jury pool wherever they go, viewable on their smartphones and constantly updated by thousands of unchecked sources. Each jury carries with him into the jury box these solemn facts and thus increases the chance of prejudice that is present in every criminal case. The images and videos provided above were taken during pre-trial court proceedings, but pose no less danger. To the contrary, they gradually poison the potential jury pool to trial, even occurring, winnowing the number of jurors able to render a just, unbiased verdict. To the extent that television shapes sentiment, it can strip the accused of a fair trial. The Estes court itself noted that unrestricted television coverage can be corrosive to non-trial proceedings and preemptively limit the potential for an eventual fair verdict. As such, far from constituting an undue and over-restrictive burden of the press's right of free speech, expulsion of cameras used to flout the court's limited directive that Mr. Kohberger not be the sole focus of images and videos taken is the sole meaning of limiting what the Estes court expressively recognized to be a form of mental, if not physical, harassment. The inevitable close-ups of his gestures and expressions during the ordeal of this trial might well transgress his personal sensibilities, his dignity, and his ability to concentrate on the proceedings before him. Sometimes the difference between life and death, as it is indeed here, dispassionately, freely, and without the distraction of wide public surveillance. A defendant on trial for a specific crime is entitled to his day in court, not a stadium or a city or nationwide arena. Similarly, Mr. Kohberger is entitled to defend himself against capital criminal charges without cameras focused on his fly.
What?
God almighty.
This is disgusting. He's disgusting. He's disgusting. His goal is to torment these victims as long as he possibly can. Fight me. Fight me if you think I'm wrong. No one's looking at his fly. No one cares about his fly. He is trying to be relevant even. He couldn't make it cutting fish because he can't talk to people. He was told he was not asked to come back to that job. He couldn't make it in the security program. He couldn't make it in the HVAC program. He couldn't finish high school. He stayed home and finished. Then he did heroin and he couldn't quit that. He went to rehab several times. I mean, who the fuck does this guy think he is? Now he's like, oh, I'll put this in there and focus on my private parts. Imagine being Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Xana's parents. Or friends, or loved ones. And this guy does this shit. Ain't nobody interested in this dude's fly. But maybe they should put him in prison. Maybe he'll get some interest in his peen there. Let's continue reading. In addition to the inordinate and exclusive focus on Mr. Kohberger, courtroom observers have routinely violated the court's May 16th order, providing in part that no video or still photograph shall be taken of any papers, documents, or notes which may be located on or around counsel tables or used by counsel. This noncompliance is clearly demonstrated in the below provided photos taken during the most recent hearing and has continuously undermined the court's stated interest in, quote, maintaining order and an environment that permits all participants to focus on their responsibilities without undue distractions. Aware of the constant attention paid to the counsel table and the risk that confidential and sensitive information could be scrutinized, photographed, published, defense counsel has been forced to divert their attention to ensure notes and other materials are hidden from prying eyes. What? The only prying eyes are his. The only prying eyes are his. This dude's a clown, and he's making this a circus. Unbelievable. His fly? And what kind of wording is that? What kind of fucking wording is that? This exact conduct was found by Testi's court to be a circumstances depriving the petitioner of a fair trial. See Testi's 381 U.S. at 538. Whereas in Estes, this conduct was characterized by a singular and extreme occurrence. In the present case, it has become disruptively routine and must be abated if Mr. Kohberger is to receive effective representation. When is Ann Kohberger going to say, enough, motherfucker, enough? I mean, this is getting ridiculous. Hey, Brittany. Why don't you go sit on Kohberger's fly?
Say la vie, adios, fuck off and die.
A no-fly zone. Oh my God. The press have failed to obey the court's directive not to exclusively photograph and record Mr. Kohberger to the exclusion of all else, jeopardizing his ability to undergo fair judicial proceedings free of undue prejudice and juror bias. As such, cameras must be expelled from the pretrial hearings as well as the trial itself. Dated on the 23rd of August, 2023. Signed by Jay Logston and Bryan Kohberger's fly. So he says this is the focus on his fly right here. Is this guy kidding? Really? Oh, man. Right. Just go ahead and block her. Just go ahead and block her. Right. Testes, crotch, chins. We had a full day today. That was a full Friday. Wow. All right. Let's see if we've got any inclination of when this hearing is going to be released. Friday hearing vacated?
Plans, that's for sure. Bryan Kohberger was supposed to be back in a Latah County courtroom tomorrow. But
wait, this is last night. They're saying that he's not in there. Hold on. He must have been busy adjusting his fly today. He was busy adjusting his fly. They had to vacate it. All right, let's see what she's got to say here. This is KTVB 16 hours ago. It was vacated due to multiple media outlets trying to fight the motion in court.
But his hearing was canceled. Kohberger is the man accused of murdering
Don't
4
look at his
University of
fly!
Idaho students last fall in a house near campus. Tomorrow's hearing was over his attorney's request to ban cameras from the courtroom for the rest of his proceedings. But the judge vacated that hearing because multiple media outlets, including KTVB, asked to intervene. Instead, Kohberger's attorneys and the media's attorneys will appear remotely for a scheduling conference at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, where the judge will set a new date for the hearing over removing cameras.
An Idaho man was ordered.
So they're not fighting it today. They're just setting a date for it. Here's another one in the Independent. Bryan Kohberger claims media are focusing on his crotch. His fly. That is just something else. So the in-person hearing was supposed to take place. Now they're doing the remote scheduling hearing over Zoom. A group of media outlets have pushed back on the defense's request motion, asking the judge to allow cameras to remain in the courtroom for his future hearings and trial. In response, the group argued that no photographic or film coverage had focused on his fly, pointing out an image included in the defense motion came from a social media post and not the media outlet's coverage. He loves this. He loves this. That's what I was just going to say. I was just going to say, Mike, I bet you he's stuffing a sock down there and he wants the women to look because he's never had women look or be interested in what's in his pants. So he's going to stuff it and he wants all of us women to fucking look. That is so gross. So I'm going to throw up in my mouth. That's how gross that is. I used to have a sound bite that would be perfect right now. And I don't think I have it anymore. But it would be so perfect right now. Let's see if I've got something I can play.
He's an MC.
Wait.
words, just let them go.
No, that's not it. Dang it. I used to have eeny weeny, teeny weeny, shrivel little, short man. So I just had to say it myself. So what the fuck? He's getting Hanes socks. Don't quote me on this, but this is my theory. He's getting Hanes socks from the canteen, shoving them down his drawers, and he wants all the ladies to look. Because ain't no ladies ever wanted to know what was in them pants. It's all a game. He thinks this is a fucking game. When it's all over, I want to see AT knock him out or at least kick him in the crotch. I think we should all be able to stand in a line and kick him in the crotch at the end before he goes in front of a firing squad, if he's found guilty. Brittany's in love. Brittany and Bryan sitting in a tree. CROTCHINDG. Crotching. First comes love, then comes conjugal visits. And then comes little Bryan and the baby carriage. Brittany, get a grip. Get a grip, honey.
Roly-poly, daddy's little Maddie. Daddy's gonna be a man someday.
Mandy. Glass. George Glass was here yesterday. Anybody know who George Glass is? George Glass was here trolling yesterday. Now today we've got Brittany. Brittany. She want to see what's in Kohberger's pants.
For donuts? Yeah, that loud and beefy.
Oh, Kendi, you missed it. Brittany wants in Bryan Kohberger's pants. I'm waiting to hear all about it.
You're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Jeff H, thanks. He's got Kendi, George Glass. George freaking Glass.
Give him the fallout from.
Oh, Britt. George Glass was Jan Brady's fake boyfriend in the Brady Bunch. I feel like I need to tune in. What'd you guys do last night, Texas Ranger? She'll be back in 300.
I didn't want to see you again for the rest of my whole life. And I didn't want to see anybody else either.
Oh, man. You guys are crazy. What happened last night, Jeff H? What was fun last night, Ranger? What am I missing? Dear Diary. Here, let's play some music. Here, this is for Brittany. Hold on. Wait, hold on. Wait. I gotta get all set up here for this. Okay, hold on. Dear Diary, I'm in love with my attorney. I must come up with something to make her talk about my dick. Diana, you kill me. Diana, you fucking kill me. Oh, man. I'm not even going there, Kendi. That is where I am done. What fun am I missing out of, though? I want to know. Stand by your man. Oh, my God. Dear Bryan, I saw your crotch on TV yesterday. It was looking so beefy. Write me back. Love ya. Britt. I don't even know who Detective John is. I heard he's fake, though.
You're awesome.
I don't know who that is. All right, I've got to welcome a lot of new members today. We've got some new Moist members. We've got Jason Oki has been a member for 2 months. It's amazing. We've got Will I Am Mitchell is a new member. We have tons of new numbers. I can't even find them all. They're all gone. But you know, I need sexual healing. Sexual healing. It's good for Brit. What, Mama? Mama says, shut up. Former Daytona Beach detective. I heard he didn't do it, though. I heard he's fake. Hey, Brittany. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Well, all of the Moist members, I welcome you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. Emmy wants some treats. Auntie Olive got her those treats. Auntie Melissa B got her the bed. Or if maybe I switched that around. I wonder how he feels that his crotch has only been mentioned in court during a quadruple murder charge. I don't think he cares. I don't think this dude cares why his crotch is mentioned or how he gets attention. He just wants the attention. Oh, well, if Jeff H., if you say he was, I believe you. Dear Bryan, I've been watching you in your hearings. I feel really bad for you. People online are demonizing you. Brittany, if the crotch calls, answer it. Is he truth exposed? I don't know anything about anybody on YouTube. Only here in our community. And I love you guys. I love you guys. Britt, maybe we can do one more thing for you. I want to hold your hand. Britt, you want to hold them hands? I'm just kidding. Britt, I love you. Come back another day. We can chit chat. Thank you all the Facebook people that are following on Facebook. I appreciate you guys. I don't see that the hearing is over yet. So we may be back. We may be back shortly, guys. All right. We're going to roll those credits. Oh, yes. We're going to roll those credits, and I will see you guys on the flip side, either tonight or first thing in the morning. We can have coffee and Kohberger, depending on when this thing comes out. Be sure to check out my other videos and playlists for more true crime content. And if that's not enough, you can join our Patreon. Don't have a tinfoil hat? It's okay. We'll make you one. It's that easy. See you guys in the next video.
See you later. Bye.
I don't give a damn.
Fight me.
I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough.
Bye, guys.
Problems. I don't give a damn. 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 You wanna be with me. You wanna feel something real, but I'm feeling differently. You're making plans to get to friends, but don't wanna face the fact that I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that. Staying up late, sleeping all day, dreaming about Cadillacs. Buy new shoes,